You're watching The Press Row. I'm Jenny here with Barry. And Barry, you are getting ready this week to head to Indianapolis to do some mock selections for the NCAA tournament. You're going to sit in the selection room just like that selection committee will for the basketball tournament here in a few weeks and get a chance to experience what that's like. What are you looking forward to most?
I'm looking forward to see how these guys assemble and collect and organize all this information. I went through the football mock selection in October, and frankly, it's a breeze. I mean, it's easy. I mean, you're dealing with 7, 8, 9, 10 teams, and then eventually you got to rank 1 through 25. But who cares who's 17th and who's 24th? In football, just pick the top 4, and you can get your arms around it. How do you get your arms around 68-team bracket? How do you get your arms around 120 teams that are in the discussion with potential automatic qualifiers, potential tournament upsets, all those things? How do you keep up with who's in the Colonial tournament, in the Colonial Conference? I mean, to me, it's just an avalanche of information. And I don't know, football is very well organized, and they have all this information ready for you. I don't know how somebody, even if you had people to do it for you, how they can get it to you. So I'm looking forward to seeing how you deal with this unbelievable. I mean, I feel like I'm back in college where I'm going to have to cram. I'm cramming on the way to Indiana just to figure out and make sure I don't look like an idiot and forget that Virginia Commonwealth's in a different conference.
Who's in the Big East these days? I mean, these are tough things. And I think it's going to be really interesting. Something I hope you come back with some information on is just where the Big 12, how it may sort of play out. I mean, obviously around here we're seeing such great basketball on a weekly basis, nightly basis almost when Big 12 teams get on the floor. And, from a personal standpoint, I think there's at least 4 or 5 teams in the Big 12 that are really, really good. But how does that play out? How highly do those teams get seeded? If we were to seed the tournament today, we saw, for example, Barry, Villanova jump to the top of the rankings this week. They have 3 losses, just like Oklahoma, and among those losses is a huge 20-plus point loss to Oklahoma, and yet there's Villanova jumping up while playing in the aforementioned Big East against, a steady diet of Marquettes, and Providence is here of late, but yet they get that spot. How does that all play out? And how, Barry, I think interesting it will be how Oklahoma fares when it comes to those top seeds. Right now, I think they're a 1. But where do they go? Does it matter much? To me, that's going to be really interesting.
It is, and we always, a lot of us put together brackets even before the tournament. We try to schedule people in and put them on the lines and separate the conferences, all that. We actually get to do that this week. How do you determine whether Oklahoma or Kansas goes to Chicago or Louisville? Those kinds of decisions. How do you separate all the Big 12 teams? There's going to be 6 or 7 in the tournament. How do you make sure you keep all those teams apart and keep the bracket balanced? It's just, to me, it's a Rubik's Cube. The football committee has it easy. The basketball guys are the geniuses that have to really think about minute details that you don't have to think about in football.
The truth is, Joe Castiglione picked the wrong committee to get on. He needed to get on that football selection committee.
Yeah, that's right. And what's interesting is Joe doesn't get to vote when Oklahoma's in line for anything. And I think I'm representing Joe, so I don't even get to vote I hope they don't make me leave the room because I don't have anything to do. But yeah, it's going to be interesting because these guys, like I said, the basketball it's literally a jigsaw puzzle.
It is,
and it's just very difficult. You got to be sharp, sort of analytical mind to even be involved in this. Football, you can get an old football coach in there and say, Wisconsin's better than Notre Dame. Let's go have lunch. So it's a big difference.
Well, and I've been around, and I'm sure you have too. Speaking of Joe Castiglione, the Oklahoma athletic director, who this year heads the basketball selection committee, I've been around him to hear some of the logistics that you have to think about. And Barry, it's not just basketball, which I'm interested to see when you come back how this all plays in. It's travel. It's, as you mentioned, making sure conference opponents don't play each other until a certain point. There's just so many logistics.
Brigham Young can't play on Sunday.
Brigham Young can't play on.
Which means Brigham Young won't be here.
Sorry.
If you're hoping to see the Cougars down at the Chesapeake, not going to happen this year.
Yeah.
We got Friday, Sunday.
Which, by the way, come back with an idea who's coming here. I want to know.
We're going to put some teams here. I don't know if they'll follow us, but that'll be good.
All right.